bright and early Sunday morning, so I'm come over to capture some of the unveils, and fortunately the music's not on, so I can do a bit of commentary, which is always nice. Bad HTT. Straight away the thing that grabs me is just the flatness and tidiness of everything. Just unbelievable. The level of all these builds is out of control. Look at the detail on that. Those mouldings, I know it's a big headache for Commodore guys. Absolutely superb. As everyone knows, I'm not really a Holden guy, but that's nice. It's a really cool build. Now another one over here. I don't know how to describe that. It's sort of stunning comes to mind, but then subtle comes to mind. Very classic colour. I'm looking underneath there, it's got a fairly big sort of gearbox on there, so it's a 409 big block Chevy, 4-wheel disc brakes, Tremec TKO 5-speed. Nice car. Oh, it's got a quick change rear in it as well. Very nice. Man, there's some rubbing in all those ribs in the back there. I bet the painter, when he seen that, had a bit of a heart attack. Another super nice build. I can tell you one thing is, cars like this definitely right up there with the stuff you see in America. Beautiful build. This one was covered up yesterday, and I'm glad I got in here early, because last time I filmed it, it actually had a whole lot of light on it, which really took away from it a little bit, I thought. Beautiful build, better than they ever were when they were new, I can tell you. Once again, that sort of fit and finish, flat paint, absolutely superb. It's got the Goldie rollback. It's a very classic build, that one. It's run on a 434 Clevo Arrow, the 950 comp cam solid. C10, 9-inch, 31 splines. It's got all going on. Super nice. Very difficult to get a car finished so well all over. The amount of hours to do that was substantial, I can tell you. Very nice. Righto, so I've taken the opportunity, the show turned the music on as they always do, and for me to be able to do these shows I can't have that commercial music running in the background, so Louise has put together the video for me, and I'm now currently up in Queensland for Down Under Beach Fest at Caloundra, and I'm sitting in the room up here looking at the video that you people are looking at the moment, and I hope you're going to enjoy the whole show. So I decided I'd do the voiceover just to make sure I can add a little bit to what we have to show you today. And there's some amazing cars, as I always say, amazing cars, but I mean just so many new cars that I haven't seen, and a lot of classic older cars, and it's good to see there's a few of those. So check out the size of the Hemi in this thing. It's a really good treatment of the black on the greys and the ghost stripes and all on this car. Super nice. So this was Sunday morning. Because they have all the unveil cars, I've sort of got to come and go. I filmed on Saturday morning, and I filmed again Saturday night, and then again on Sunday morning to capture all the cars. And this particular 69, it was covered up or closed up. Now I've shot this a couple of times. It's a Proflow car, so you can see there, pretty subtle with the bonnet shut except for the wheels, and obviously got plenty of go coming out of Proflow. It's good to see a variety of cars now. I don't know whether it's to do with the lack of available cars, but yeah, really good to see. So this one's Darren Fosberg. So it was at this show last year, and I had a go at him for not having it all opened up, and it was closed up. And he said, "Howard, it's not finished." And I go, "Well, they're never finished, but they've just had the trim finally finished on this one. Super nice." It was funny on Sunday morning when I was filming this. A guy from Western Australia was there, and he wanted to know if I owned a car. I said, "No, if only." And he was hanging out wanting to talk to Darren about the trim because he just loved it so much, and it really has got that classic 50s feel about it with a little bit of, I guess, new style trend. And Darren used to be a judge at some of that's back in the 90s, and I think that clearly shows by the standard of this car pretty much all over. And he's also lucky enough to own a really nice 69, I think a 69 or a 67 Camaro as well. Now this was an unveil, so a whole new car that I haven't seen. Nice big block Chev sitting in there. And I like the use of those wheels. We're seeing too many of the same wheels all the time. So a 565 Brodex aluminium big block. Yummy. Nice to see a different colour as well. It's a cool looking thing. It's got the underdash air in it as well. So I had to wait for these guys. They had it closed up, and then it was an unveil, then it was closed up Saturday night, so I had to wait till a bit after 9 o'clock on the Sunday morning. So now we're back to the footage I did on Saturday night. So it's dark outside now, so the cars tend to pop a bit more. No, it's not. The sun's out, so it looks like it must have been Saturday morning. So I filmed Saturday morning and Saturday night. It's a really nice venue up at Rose Hill, but the only downside is the sun comes streaming through early in the morning, makes it hard to get good footage. Nice classic pickup there, I really like that. It's another nice Chev from the Grimmers. Or I presume it was, he was cleaning it, so I'm thinking it's it turned out a lot of cars, and I was really pleasantly surprised to see Laurie's original 55, 56 Chev, which we'll see in a minute. But these guys, their detail and fit and finish is amazing. Check out that wheel combo, love that. Always loved that look when Gary Myers had those wheels on the Mustang a long time ago when it had the flames. And got to say, Gary and Jake, it's good to see the old girl back out in the flame job. I always loved that job, the way that paint job was. So here's the car I was talking about, so Laurie's car. This, I'm trying to think how long ago now. It's probably a 10-year-old build, still looks very current. It was super prepared. As you can see there, he's right on it. He's got the light on the head and everything. I might have to get one of those LEDs for the head. That looks like a pretty good idea, actually. Now I thought I'd film this one closed up because it's nice to get them. I've filmed it a couple of times before. Caroline's LH, so it's built for the drag week type work, and super nice car as well. As you can see, everyone's hard at it doing the final cleaning. Righto, so Mike's 54. He's got his new mascot there that he was getting everyone to sign. It's a pretty cool idea. But the car's looking very sharp, so he's been down to Motorex and Superstars, and he opted to leave the car in the trailer in Sydney and then went back home to Brisbane and then came down for this event. And it's interesting, he was saying that it's surprising just how much work you've got to do. It was only 2 weeks in the trailer, but still meant a bit of work to do, a bit of dust and probably a bit of condensation and stuff on the aluminium, those beautiful billet aluminium wheels. It's actually a video we put up from Motorex where Mike goes over that car and explains to you all the changes. It's surprising how many changes are on that car that, for me, you know, not being a 54 Chev guy, I have no idea of the things that they do to these cars, so it's an interesting watch if you like those sort of cars. Looks like someone's given an old Hot Rod a refresh there. So it looks like I obviously filmed these and I redid them on the Sunday morning because they're closed up now and they were open when I filmed on the Sunday, so it's probably a good opportunity to have a look at these cars closed up as well. I'm not sure what the story is with these. They're left-hand drive, so whether they've been Australian built or come straight in from the States, I'm not sure, but some really nice. They really are a beautiful shape, those cars, that's for sure. So being a traditional hot rod show, they still have a lot of club stands as well, so that, you know, you'll see these aren't necessarily set up on stands and all, they're just club cars that are cleaned up and presented well for the event. And I mean, sometimes I've seen the cars before and other times I haven't. We'll actually have a second video from this event, which was from Nostalgia Lane, which has got the very traditional hot rods and low riders and motorbikes and all sorts of stuff. So this is the main two halls that are, I guess, what you'd class as the elite show cars and some of the club cars. and spent a lot of time in there. So each morning when I went in, this couple were in cleaning this thing up. I said to him, if you're not careful, you're going to wear all the paint off that, mate. He was buffing away and cleaning it up, and it's a credit to him the way it's presented. I really like the feel of doing these sort of classic style. It's even got the right stickers on the windows. When I was a young bloke being a Ford guy, you know, you followed all this stuff, and the Ford itself produced a lot of cars like this for NASCAR and drag racing, where they built lighter bodies and for whatever reason raced the very big cars. They raced a lot of Galaxies and Fairlanes in NASCAR and drag racing. So a 427 with a T10 Hurst. I love the classic tacho and the 3 gauges under the dash with the chrome surround. I remember my brother had one of those in his 63 Fairlane back in the 80s. Actually might have been the 70s, getting old now. So they have a good range of traders at this show as well. So there's a lot of people obviously selling hot rod components if you're building a car, but the usual memorabilia and tyre manufacturers, glass, all sorts of things. So it's a good show to go to if you're in the process of building a car or looking to build a car, to actually find the parts you need and actually be able to look at them and talk to the vendor about the parts that they're offering. It ticks a lot of boxes for me, that one. So Willys, and it's got that same wheel combo but in the matte look, magnesium style with a machined front edge. That's pretty cool. I mean, I'm trying to work out a direction from a panel van. If I really thought about it, I could put a set of wheels like that on it, but I am going to drive it, so I'm probably going to stay with something that's a bit more functional. Now, this was a bit of an oddball, just stuck in the corner. Rally pack, and now this was a really cool stand. I mean, they'd obviously gone to a bit of trouble with the leaves and they'd set it up as the moonshine style. Love that flathead with a couple of stromies on it. So the sun was coming through the window a bit strong there and was sort of messing up the backboard, but later in the day and at night it was really good the way they'd set up the backing for the display. This was a nice looking car. I mean, the colour, the old Yanko stripes, and I was surprised how good the wheels look, being a late model, you know, late style wheel. They seem to suit the car. think the best thing about our sport is no matter what sort of car or vehicle you're into, there's a place for it. So this car was here last year, and I think I had a fair bit to say about it, but it's traditional look with the 5 spokes and the nice blue paint. Big car, big Galaxy. Man, there's some chrome and stainless on that car. I was just looking at the stripes down the side and then all around the windscreen. Legion head mould, and then they've gone and chromed everything else under here as well. Incredible. If there's some sort of trend at the moment, I think it's pickups. There was we've got a few more unveils downstairs shortly when I get down to do those, but you know, the F100 and the 49 Chevs and the C10s, and then a couple of early ones here as well. I've seen this one before. It's got like a late model engine, as well as steering column and dash and stuff out of a late model car. So I've seen this car a few times. I think the first time I seen it was last year at the Hot Rod show, and I've seen it at a couple of outdoor shows. He does get it out and about and drives it. And it's a pretty cool story about how it ended up being done as an X2. He started off because had a bench seat, and when the wife drove it meant he was touching his head on the dash pretty much, so he decided to put buckets in it, and then it progressed from there, so he ended up turning it into a full Prem X2. It's a good story. It seems like the hot rod side of things in Sydney especially is really on a big growth spurt. There's a lot of new cars there and a lot of cars in the build, and when you're talking to people, you know, you're virtually struggling to find someone to do a car for you. So we're downstairs now. I'm not sure whether it's morning or night, so that's Adrian in the background there with one of the judges. So this car's been at Superstars the last 2 years, and he was at the Hot Rod show last year. The car does continue to evolve and improve, and that's got another good backstory to it as well. And there's some detail in there. Look at all the amount of components in there that need to be massaged and made to look right. It's a nice baby blue. It's almost like a blaze blue Grabber Blue out of the Ford range. Now this particular Prem, I interviewed this guy last year at this show, and it's an interesting look if you want to go back and have a look at our video from last year, because he talks about how the car came about and the fact that it's been done 100% back to original. The options that are on it were all from the dealer options, and it's got pretty much everything on it, including the taxi bar, side spats, and the detail on it is amazing. And he tells me he does get it out and does the odd cars and coffees and those sort of things. It's not hidden away, which is good. Another one of those new hot rods. I don't believe I've seen this one before. Nice little small block Chevy. Now they had this car out last year as well at this event, and it's interesting to see one of the older type Superstars cars, and at this point in history the cars really had got to a point where they were, unusable. They were a straight up piece of art, and no side glass and no carpets, no nothing. And it's for me personally, I'm glad to see it sort of moved on from that, but it's good to see those cars, and the amount of work and detail in them is unbelievable. So here's another one of these pickups I'm talking about. It's almost like a model, something you'd buy in a box, that one. It's a pretty cool looking hot rod. A Fat 69's HT. Eat your heart out, Dale Walton. So many cars at such a high level, it's incredible. So this one debuted here last year. I was talking to a couple of young guys, just about to build. I think I decided to get this one so I don't forget, because if I start walking down there I'll miss this one. So this one's a Boydster. Big and little 5 spokes. Boyd Coddington definitely was very innovative in his style and design. When he worked with Chick Foose back in the day when we used to watch it all on Discovery Channel, I was pretty chuffed to see a lot of his cars. If you need suspension for your ride, make sure you check out Lovells. Go on the website, lovellsauto.com.au, have a look on there, and there's a full catalogue you can go through and check out what's available for your car. Yeah, good on you, Howard. Thanks for that, and thanks to Lovells, because without their support I wouldn't be up here now about to bring you some more stuff, some more street orientated stuff from down under Beach Fest. But back to Boyd, when we were at SEMA last year, I managed to go and get down in the vault at the museum over there, and there was about 8 of his cars down there, and it was pretty cool to be able to see all those cars in real life after having watched the channel and the shows and all that sort of stuff. So if you're into that sort of stuff, once again, there's a video from November last year that covers all those cars in the vault at the Peterson Museum. Sorry about missing a couple of cars there, but there was some nice stuff there as well. Nice couple of Chevys. So one of our big cars from Summernats a couple of years ago that's now getting a little bit of street duty as well. So the owner of this is a manager up at for Rare Spares up in Sydney. and it was good to see it out at the show up there. And I went up there again. Another video we did was up at their opening day. Now, if you're another club, if you're into your Pontiacs, they've jammed as many as they can on this stand, so we'll just do a bit of a wander past. Try and capture all the cars when I go to these shows, because everyone's got a different interest, and my aim is to try and capture as much as I can in the time that I have, and try and keep the shows at a reasonable level from a time, but also not miss anything out. It was really an amazing time in the car side of things. One of that mid-60s through to mid-70s, there's some incredible builds by GM and by Ford. The thing that always impressed me about the hot rod guys is they like to get them out and use them. You see a lot of these cars when I went to the Australian Street Rod Nationals, and so many of the cars just driving around. They drive them to the events and they go on their poker runs and things, and that's what's happening up here at Beach Fest, because it's run by the Australian Street Rod Federation. So they have a lot of cruise days and stuff. There's one on today and there was one yesterday. This is a very unusual looking car. I really couldn't quite get my head around where it started and how it finished, but it sort of looks channeled and a full-size roof, but I'm just not sure. And then the back half almost looks like an FJ. But someone might be able to fill me in a bit on that, because I don't think there was too much on the signs either. Now this is another one that gets driven a bit. It drove into the Rare Spares show up at Blacktown. I think it took out car of the day actually on that day. Beautiful cross ram on the small block Ford in that one. There's a bit of traditional stuff here. If you check out the pipes coming out the side and then back underneath for an exhaust and a little moon tank on the front. When I was a young bloke reading magazines, and I always loved them little moon tanks, and I put one in the XA the first time in the boot, which I ended up getting rid of because it didn't hold enough fuel, but I always loved them, so I tried to get one into the build somehow, but it's unusual. It's got a set of five slotters on it. So if you wonder about the cleaning rags and all on the cars, it's because I'm in early and they're still getting themselves organised, so it'd be sad day. That's a sleek looking thing, looks like it belongs on the salt flats, that one. So if you're building a hot rod, there's some pretty cool wheels in here. We really are spoilt for choice now, aren't we? It's used to be the case that you had to go direct to the States and to get something unique, but check all that out. Crazy. So Norm's always at these hot rod events, and some of that's been around forever. Still going. Now if you're into your motorbikes, the next video we do will have some amazing bikes in it. Lots of that engraving and the trendy paintwork, and there was a couple of classic builds as well, like this one. It's a bit unusual to see a BSA. And I think on the sign it said the British Small Arms, and I never actually realised that until I seen that. Once again, more components. Righto, so I'm back downstairs now. Some pretty cool stuff on this. Check out the copper pipes and all. Nice little flathead. So on the Saturday night they booted me out because they close at 5, and then by 6 they try and get everyone out of the place, so I was still trying to film. So I got back in on Sunday morning and caught up with the stuff that I hadn't forgot to. So T-buckets, and I expect to see a row of those again at Corley Rocks this year. The last couple of years these guys all turn up and pretty much in the same spot every year, and it's really cool to see a row of them like that when they're all sitting there with their engines poking up at the sky. So if you're hanging in there, make sure you stay to the end, because the car that won this show is pretty much the last car, and it was an unveil hot rod, and it's a super duper nice piece of work. So you can still see the unveils in the background there. So it's interesting, some of that early ribbed type stuff for the engines. It's interesting, a guy, Keith Sutton, is actually still making stuff in Australia, getting it through the foundry and then grinding and polishing. And for the life of me, Keith, I can't think of your business name at the moment, but I'm sure if you look for him through Google, you'll find him. He does some really cool stuff, and he does a bit of artwork for your shed wall as well. Thanks for the birthday wishes the other day, mate. Now this is another car that was here last year, but it was also qualified for Superstars and did extremely well, and I think from the way I work out who won what medals, I believe this car was probably second behind the HR Ute in Superstars this year. Really classy build, everything sort of works, fits in its right place, the trim. I really like what they've done with the back of this, and I think a lot of the other pickups are doing similar now with that gas ram and a little bit of boot, a little bit of trim in there and access to sea. And the stand on this was pretty clever as well, it looked to be sort of 3D printed. So panel vents, there's a big surge coming back now. So you can see the owner there taking the opportunity to get in the judge's ear and tell him about what's going on. If you take your car to a show, these indoor shows, make sure if you're looking to try and do well in the judging, make sure you have a chance to talk to the judges and let them know about the car. A lot of work in that engine bay, like in the metal work. Don't see a lot of the wire wheels like that anymore. That's makes them fairly unique actually. There used to be a lot of those in the hot rod scene. Once again, cool trade stand, unique tyres have been around forever, always put on a good show. Opportunity to talk to the people face to face about their products. Very clean engine bay on this one. It's it deleted a lot of things in there to get it to look like that. Very nice classic looking piece of work that. Now this car debuted at well, it couldn't have debuted, it was at Superstars, so it probably qualified in Adelaide. So it's a South Australian car. Massive big block, I think it's a 605 or something by memory on the rocker cover. Huge throttle bodies. It's a very unusual colour. It was a lot brighter in this hall than what it was at Superstars. It's quite difficult with the lighting at Superstars in that hall. And the trims from the Carafanos in South Australia. So this event's managed by Andy from Andy's Restorations in Sydney, and I seen this ute and then I got round the front and realised it was one of was Andy's shop car. There must have been a sign somewhere for me to know that, but I managed to stay out of this shop in the corner. A couple of items there I could have had, but I've been slowly adding a few things out the front of my shed, but kept my hands in my pockets and kept moving. Another big build. I have seen it before. I'm trying to work out where it would have been Motorex, I'm sure. It's obviously going to go hard. It's got the shifter up high so that he can keep the eyes forward. Very traditional. Black wheels. Whoa, we'll go all the way around. So this one I'd sort of caught my eye and I went, oh, I better check that out. But they're obviously selling bodies because it's a fiberglass body and it's just sitting on blocks with a few wheels under it just to give you the stance and the look, and I thought that was cool. So I've always liked the sleds. I don't know that I'll ever get to build one. I'd always thought that I might have, but I can't see that happening now. But we'll get the panel van out of the way first, another year or so on that, and it's a crazy piece of work, isn't it? Just seen on the back of that black ute, that was Andy's. It's got Andy's on restorations on the back tailgate. That's how I knew it was from there. The Romans, so they're a club, very strong club in Sydney. A couple more of their nice cars. If anyone's watching this show and they're into their cameras, you might be able to explain to me, if you've seen the focus going in and out there, it's primarily happens, I'm using a Sony, and when I've got full sun on chrome, the camera tends to want to lose its focus. So I've tried to Google it and work through the process, but I can't seem to find an answer. So if someone's got an answer for me, I'd be happy. I'm thinking about trying a Polaroid lens. I thought that might help. Now this one's an older build, still a cool car. Incredible detail on it. What about the wheel combo on that? I'll just take my slicks with me on the pickup there. That's pretty cool. So I just see those 5-spoke wheels on there. Remind me, it's one of Ronnie Barclay's favourite. He had on his hot rod and he's got them on the new Camaro, and that Camaro's coming up shortly. Got some good footage of that. It was all closed up at MotorX every time I went to film it, so I've got some good footage this time for you. Blue and white works good together. So if you're watching this and wondering why there's no people around, it's because this is about probably 7:30 in the morning. Won't be long and the people will be in. So this car's been on the scene for quite some time now, but it's owned by a detailer and it shows, because that's one of the cleanest cars you'll ever see, I can tell you. Oh, some fabrication in there, look at that. Dash, door trims. I think it's one of the things that's really come up a notch in the last probably 10 years in the show scene is the trim. The amount of money spent on trim now is probably 3 times what it was 10 years ago, because of the complexity and the amount of effort going in, and effort's hours is money. And it really has come up a massive amount, and it's been driven by probably 3, 4, 5 different shops that are pushing each other to a new level. It's a nice looking setup, I like that. So this looks like a Ford, like a Clevo, very unusual heads. They're obviously some sort of performance heads because where the exhaust bolt's on quite unusual. And it's a good use of the black on there, sort of two-tone without being a two-tone really. And that's what I was talking about trim there. Have a look at the work in the boot for a starter, and then the doors, instead of a flat door, it's got matte pockets built in and, cross stitching on the console. Neat little angular. I think the first one I've seen of those at a show was Rod Hadfield with his Redback, where he had the black one with the red stripe over it. Now this car turned a lot of heads at MotorX as well. So this is out of Shoalhaven, down the south coast, down from Sydney. And they've been the opportunity, and I think it was probably this truck where I filmed the chassis at Paul Beck's show, one of the Killer Ride shows. If you wanted to see the chassis that's under this without the body on it, you can find that show on the channel and check it out. But the awesome amount of work on this, and if you've been following what we do, the Cobra 400 that we built, the owner of that car works at this shop now. So they've got quite a few builds on the go down there. So Damien, the owner of that Cobra, spent 18 months working with us on his own car, and then when we did Venom, the one after, and then he moved on and went down there and been working with those guys. Now this car, I seen this unveiled up at Rocky Nats just on Facebook, and I really love the styling and the look of it. Got opportunity to have a good chat with the young bloke at MotorX about the car, and very new to the whole judging scene and all, and he asked me to go over it with him and just have a look at a few things. And it's nice to do that to help them, but it also gives me a much closer look at the car and the quality, and this car really is superb. Very classy piece of work. So another high profile car, someone that's top 20, was in Superstars down at MotorX. It's on the cover of Street Machine magazine, and for such a unique build in the sense of the colours and the styling on the car. And I don't know that I've seen the gold leaf used like they have on this car on the stripes in street machining. It's obviously a very hot rod and low rider style thing. And once again, I interview the brothers that own this car at MotorX, and that's on one of our other videos if you want to hear the owner talk about the car and some of the things they've done on it. That opportunity's there if you want to jump on and have a look at that. I didn't hang about for the awards, so I'm not sure of who won what, but the judging at this event is a little bit different to most of the other shows. It's done independently. So this was another unveil, so this is out of Deluxe. And these guys have got a pretty good sized team, and they're turning out a lot of high class hot rods. So they're on the outskirts of Melbourne. And Steve Aldrich runs that show, and I used to compete against his dad, Ray Aldrich, from TCR. And Steve's just kept it going and gone to a whole new level with the builds that they're putting out of that particular business. Quite a dark car, a little bit hard to get some good footage on that. So here we are, Ronnie Barclay's Plain Jane. So in typical Barclay fashion, he's built this car almost as a restored car, but at a level that no factory was ever going to produce. And every individual component on this car is detailed within each of its life, but he hasn't gone over the top in the sense of chroming and plating, and it's a lot of paint. And the car actually won paint again at this show. It won paint at Motorex in Elite. And I managed to speak to Ron and the painter, and Ron said there's only the two of them that touched the car. And I know this has been, I would think, at least 15 years in the build. And like I was saying, true Ron Barclay fashion, every component. And you could put your head up under there, and I can assure you the paint on the underside of that parcel shelf is as good as the outside of the car. It'll be interesting to see how it goes at different events, because it doesn't really fit a category. It's too good for restored, and it would struggle in the elite side of things because it doesn't have a lot of modifications. So the judges have got to try and take on board the amount of work he's done, and at the same time he's going to potentially lose points from design and execution, and also innovation and those sorts of things, but a really cool car. Now another unveil, so another pickup. Try and sneak in there with the camera and get a little bit of footage. A 66 Ford F100. Seem to be a few cars in this type of colour, and I mean, we see with those colours as things come and go, like we did Boss XC in the dark blue, and there was quite a few dark blue cars there for a year or so, and now this seems to be this sort of deep maroon. It reminds me of my original car back in the 80s. Now it's a bit of a take on the deep candy apple reds. But all these builds have so much work in the bed and around the top, and the amount of steel fabrication, and then the filler work, and then the paint work and the polishing, it's outstanding. It looks like a FG Falcon bonnet bulge on the top of that bonnet. Now this is the car I was talking about, so this one car of the show, and I was trying to get a bit of a sneak look after I'd finished filming, and the painter spotted me and come over, and we was fortunate enough to have a chat with him for probably half an hour or so, and just go over the car and talk about some of the things that he was doing, and it really is a good opportunity to do that. And he asked me if I could just point out anything I could see or whatever, and I did that with him, and then almost embarrassingly now, that one top paint and top body, and I'm showing him all the things that are wrong with it. But I mean, that's the reality of the sport that we're in, is that nothing's ever perfect. And you know, my cliche is you got to work for success, not perfection. So a lot of detail items on the engine. Got that nice use of that bronze on the exhaust. And it was funny, he was saying the owner hadn't seen the car finished until he got to the show. And prior to getting to the show, he'd sort of said, oh look, I'm going to drive it home back to Melbourne because it's fully registered and engineered. And once they unveiled it and he's seen it, he said, there's no way I'm driving that home. So thanks for joining us. It's been a good again, and we've got a lot more coming your way.